Hi Metalheads, willkommen zum Metalheads Forever Show Nummer 491. Nach 9 haben wir die 500 voll, Freunde. Ich freue mich total. Richtig geil. Die ersten Videos sind schon reingekommen von Gästen, die wohl schon hier waren. Sehr, sehr coole Videos. Und noch weiter schicken. Ich freue mich total. Wird legendär am 9. Dezember. Aber heute haben wir einen legendären Abend, nämlich eine US-amerikanische Band. Natürlich Cassius King. Das Video oder das Interview wurde schon am Samstag aufgenommen. Und ich muss gleich sagen, ich muss den Sänger Jason wirklich beschneiden, denn er hat gequasselt, das würde ein 3-Stunden-Interview werden. Also, ich habe es so geschnitten, dass es einigermaßen vom Content passt für euch draußen. Also, lehnt euch zurück und genießt mal eine geile Band aus Amerika. Sehr, sehr cool, die Jungs. Und bevor es losgeht, gleich mal unsere lieben Zuschauer auf Facebook auffordern, nach YouTube zu gehen. YouTube, da spielt die Musik. Facebook immer leider schon nach mindestens eine Stunde oder vielleicht sogar schon davor, schalten die den Stream ab. Warum auch immer, ich weiß es nicht. Komisch. So, danke nochmal gestern, dass ihr dabei wart bei unserer Special-Sendung bei Power Metal Sunday. War sehr cool mit euch, hat mir echt Spaß gemacht und werden wir wiederholen auf alle Fälle. So, los geht's jetzt mit einer geilen Band. Und zwar haben wir heute am Start Savage Blood. Savage Blood, und vielleicht können wir die auch einladen. Würde mich total freuen. Savage Blood, der Fight. Und wir sagen, let the madness begin. Und dann geht's gleich zum Interview. Here we go. Halleluja. Geht gleich gut los. Jawohl, Savage Blood. Sehr, sehr cooler Start. Jawohl. Und schön, dass wir unsere neuen Mitglieder, die es gestern nicht mitbekommen haben, wir haben ja neue Members. Ja, Susi und Klaus, seid gegrüßt und aufpassen. Susi und Klaus, da kann man ziemlich süchtig werden, habe ich mir sagen lassen. Es gibt Leute hier, wie der Peter Krause oder Tom Gindorf, Aaron Heike oder Lormi oder Högi, die sind süchtig geworden. Die sind wirklich infiziert worden und sind jeden Tag da. Also, schön wäre es, wenn ihr jeden Tag da bleiben würdet. So, liebe Freunde, ich freue mich total und bevor ich loslege, der Michel hat ja schon E-Mails rausgehauen oder Messages. Bitte schickt uns für die 500. Sendung ein kurzes Video, aber nicht länger als 1 Minute. Nicht länger kann ich gar nicht spielen, denn ich will natürlich einen schönen Film zusammenstellen. Also haut noch eine schöne Message raus, schickt es an Michel oder Fronal und aber zeitnah, dass wir es auch vorbereiten können, denn am 9., Freitag 9., werden dann schöne Filme zusammengestellt. Mix zwischen Musikern und Fanclub und Metalheads. Wer immer uns was schicken möchte, schickt es uns. Oder wer jetzt zuschaut draußen, der nicht im Fanclub ist, kann natürlich auch ein Ding schicken, eine Message, wo er uns zur 500. Sendung gratuliert. Das wäre super schön, dass wir wirklich einen geilen Abend gestalten mit viele Messages von euch draußen. So, und jetzt spiele ich erstmal den Song und dann geht es gleich ins Interview. Ich freue mich jetzt total auf Abandoned Paradise von Cassius King. Und dann gleich live von in Farbe, oder fast live, war ja Samstag live. Aber die Jungs sind extra aufgestanden. Der eine um 8:30 und der eine um 9:30 in der Früh. Aber Gespräche waren sie ohne Ende. Hier sind Cassius King und Abandoned Paradise. Attacke.
Crossing
Jetzt wissen wir, wo die Reise hingeht. Jawohl. Heute wird es cool. Wer so auf Sabbath und so steht, so auf diesen bisschen in die Stilrichtung. Ja, aber es kommt sehr viel. Wir spielen fast das ganze Album und Sänger Jason erzählt euch einiges drüber und Riffmaster Dan, der schreibt fast das ganze Album geschrieben. Sehr, sehr coole Jungs. Und jetzt freue ich mich auf Sänger Jason und Gitarrist Dan von Cassius King. Und here we go. How you doing?
What's up?
Well, this is a pre-recorded session. This is recorded, screened on Monday, but we are here on Saturday morning we are in Texas. Dan is in Texas. Jason, you are in New York?
No, I'm in Texas. Dan's in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Welcome to New Jersey.
Yeah, welcome to New Jersey.
And I'm in the Philippines. This is a good mix.
Yes.
I checked out your new album, Thread the Dawn. Very, very cool. I like it.
Thank you.
Let's talk later about this album, but let's talk about first. Our first question is always how you became a metalhead, how everything started, the career. And Jason, I start with you, if you don't mind.
I don't
Jason,
mind at all.
Go back to your childhood. What was the first? What was singing your instrument, or what? How you started?
My first instrument was bass, but I'll go back to probably about 6, maybe 7 years old. I loved the radio. My mother played the radio in the kitchen making breakfast, and it was a lot of AM radio and early rock and pop rock, Elton John and and Alice Cooper and the Bee Gees and whatever was popular on American Bandstand or TV shows, just top 40, right, for the most part. And we
talk about 70s, right?
Yes, of course. I was born in 1965, so it's early 70s, and I'm in grade school. I had 45s, and I had a stupid little record player, and I loved it, and they knew that I loved it, and my parents and my brothers. I had 3 brothers who had enormous record collections, 2 older brothers, and the babysitter turned me on to Elton John, and I think it was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. She's playing the records, and I'm like, what is this? I'm a little kid, like, what is this? Hi, Gina. And I started buying Elton John records because it was kind of like a love at first sight. I heard this stuff and was blown away. So by age 8 or even 9 or whatever, I had this nice collection of Elton John records. And the neighborhood kids had older brothers as well, and basically said, have you heard this yet? And they held up Kiss Alive.
The first one, I guess,
yeah,
right?
Kiss Alive, yeah. And it changed my whole perspective. My mind just cracked open, and I said, obviously, these guys are having all the fun. Not to backpedal or back up a little bit, but during this tenor of Elton John freak out, my brothers gave me Queen. I was into Queen, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But when I found Kiss, my whole like louder and crazier sort of side of because Elton John's kind of a glam rocker. He dressed up crazy, and Elton John and Alice Cooper and David Bowie can write any kind of song you want. They can get dark, they can go heavy, they can go ballad, they can write a pop song, they can do it. They can do it all. And so that was what was attractive to it. But then when Kiss kind of exploded in my face, it was kind of like, well, these guys are doing the same thing. It's just louder and brighter and on fire and bloodier. And they mixed literally a couple more elements, the superhero and the horror show and the circus and all this.
Then
I'll condense my story based on what you just said, because I bought Peter Frampton Comes Alive and Ole ELO, And I thought, these are good records. There's some great songs on here. But then I heard Kiss Rock and Roll Over from a friend, and he played it for me. And the next day I called him up. I said, hey, I want my mom to buy that Kiss Greatest Hits album. What's the name of the Greatest Hits album you played me yesterday? He's like, they don't have a Greatest Hits album. I'm like, yes, they do. The album you played me yesterday was a Greatest Hits album. Every song was great. And he's like, they don't have a Greatest Hits album. I'm like, dude, I'm like, what was the freaking album you played me yesterday? He said it was called Kiss Rock and Roll Over. I'm like, that's not a Greatest Hits album. So everything changed for me when I heard Kiss Rock and Roll Over.
Yeah. And to be honest, Kiss in the 70s, when Kiss won in the prime, you know, this was amazing. We in Germany, we loved Kiss, you know, and I think in America was the same. And they changed a lot, you know. This was, and it was just very funny. Today, actually 2 hours ago, I saw a guy in YouTube. He plays the best Kiss riffs. Part 2 was, and he plays Deuce and Calling Dr. Love and all, and there's you know, Ace really, he was a genius when it comes to riffs. Holy shit.
That's the reason I started playing guitar was because of Ace Frehley. And it's funny, all these years later, that I can mimic Ace Frehley. I'll play along with Aerosmith, and Aerosmith and Cheap Trick were right behind for me, right behind Kiss. But I just play like Ace Frehley, who was influenced by Jimmy Page, you know, and that's still the style I appreciate the most on lead guitar.
It's somehow your sound, Cassius King, is like a mirror. It's like this is the old school sound. It's a little bit stoner, it's doomy, it's rock and roll. And I chose also one song written by Paul Stanley, but later on, you know what song. But we talk first about the album. We just heard before Abandon Paradise. Who gives me in a short version the backstory of the song?
Well, Jason and Jimmy Shulman wrote the lyrics, so when you want the story, that's where the story comes from. But I mean, I wrote the music, and I record in a very unusual way, Richie. I generally record all my guitar parts to a click track. So like sometimes I finish albums and then I hand them to the drummer, the bass player, the vocalist. And so from the ground up, I recorded Abandon Paradise, and then I give it to Ron and Jason and Jimmy to do what they need to do. So Jason, lyrically, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Abandon Paradise, I had this idea of, and I seem to have this idea quite a bit, or this theme, the apocalyptic kind of theme. It's very metal. I tend to start with, well, this, you know, how does this riff, what feeling does this riff give me? Sometimes the riff doesn't really hit me in the same way if it's just a riff, like to a click track. If there's bass and drums on it, I become engulfed, and I kind of automatically know how dark I need to be lyrically, what kind of pictures with words I need to start with. It's like kind of like starting with a dot and then making a spiral or bigger circles around it until there's no circle at all. It's just one color, or it's a full painting. So the dot has to, sometimes I listen to a version of a song before it's got the other ingredients on it, and there's not even a dot because I can't see it yet. But Abandoned Paradise was fairly easy for it to come to fruition and become a photograph for me. When it was put together, I feel musically, I feel the lyrics sort of play with the idea of some movies that we've all seen. One and comes to mind, The Road. Sometimes where there's tons of movies where there's a one-man hero and there's no, the world is just, I don't know, like zombie apocalypse, but they only come out at night or whatever, anything. It's a one-man war kind of a thing. But the lyrics kind of like play off of that, but they don't stay with that one idea. it's kind of imagine that you worked your entire life to create a home for your family, and stock enough goods for you to live out your days happily with your family, and everyone's smiling in your family, and then all of a sudden nobody's smiling. There's it's like someone just wiped off the earth and you've got to start all over again. So your paradise, you discover paradise. You're not, if you're born into paradise, you have no paradise because you don't have anything to compare it to. So that's pretty much what this is. So it's discovering paradise and then it being taken away for whatever reason. No one is more deserving than anybody else.
What a great song! As I Begin to Turn.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of my
you wrote
the
the riff as well then?
Yeah, I wrote the music, and when I wrote that song, I thought this might be the heaviest song I've ever written in my life. And if you can see, I have a little loft upstairs, which is where I generally work on songs. I'll write wherever I am. Sometimes I even write a guitar riff in the car, like the song Pariah to Messiah. I literally wrote that in the car. I was driving home from basketball. But as I begin to turn, I wrote it upstairs, and I look down, and I see my wife is like going like this on the couch behind me. And I wrote that middle section, the bow, 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 bow. And my wife is like, what is that? That's like so cool. I'm in love with that. And then, of course, I give it to Ron Lipnicki and Jimmy Shulman and Jason McMaster. And that song actually includes a little guitar solo by Scott LePage, who played on the first Hades album. And then lyrically,
Jason came on board.
Lyrically, is that my cue?
That's what I want, like that. That was
as I begin to turn. Yeah. Give us the backstory.
As I begin to turn can be you are infected and you are about to change. Now, this could be a Jekyll and Hyde. This could be you've been bitten by vampires or zombies, or it's you've got COVID, or whatever. But when you accept that you are you, but you are also becoming something else, and you have no control. Like the chorus is, I'm a dead man, I cannot confess. My head can, it can only burn. Kind of like a headache or a fever. With my right mind, I will never be again lonely as I begin to turn. Now, that's more or less summing up the idea that you don't have any control anymore of what is happening to you. But you are obviously going in and out of this, or not, of this sort of like person you're becoming. Metaphorically, this song can be as all over the place as you want.
But the next song, for example, I love this song. This is Genesis, because this is a song who starts low and then it's build up, and I love songs who build up. I would say we listen first, and then you tell me the story about Genesis. Agreed?
Agreed.
Sure.
Genesis, awesome song, love it. For me, one of the highlights of the album. Then, I guess, same story.
Not really, a little bit different. So for Genesis, that was the acoustic intro. I was playing along with the Aerosmith song "No More, No More," and that's a very unusual tuning. And it took me a long time to figure it out. And I would play that song for years. I'm like, man, this song is hard to play. And then I realized it was a somewhat unique, not really unique, but a tuning that most bands don't use, which is basically E major. You strum the guitar open. There's E's, B's, and G sharps. And, you know, you feel, like I said, if you hit all 6 strings, it'd be an E major. So I was just messing around with that tuning. And again, I'm sitting upstairs and my wife is sitting downstairs and she's like, that's beautiful. What is that? I'm like, I don't know. Sounds sort of like Led Zeppelin, maybe. I don't know. So I wrote that beginning part. And then I wrote the rest of the song, which was typical me, kind of a Black Sabbath-y thing. And then Jason, I remember Jason coming to me. And I think Jason thought I was going to say, no way, mother effer. He said, hey, man, what do you think if now don't freak out, but what do you think if I ask my buddy to put flutes on the beginning of the song? And I'm like, of course. What am I, a dumb metalhead who doesn't want to try anything different? And I love what Jason's friend did. I think it's so beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. I don't think Jimmy Shulman loved it. And Jimmy Shulman has an open mind, but he was not crazy about the flutes at the beginning. But I loved it right away. And then lyrically.
Yeah, I feel like I only struggled a little bit to come up with the title for this lyric. I was, you know, kind of rolling the lines, trying to find, you know, the lines that would work with just work. Because sometimes, Richie, I just start sort of using what I call dummy words, you know, syllables and vowel shapes, and I create the words later, and then I don't even worry about them making any sense or rhyming or anything. I just come up with, you know, syllables and phrasing, right? Because it's more important. I feel like the phrasing can sometimes be a lot more important. And the melody, the notes that you're going to sing can be more important than the lyrics themselves. And I'm a firm believer of that. And then you can worry about how good or bad the lyric is later. So that was the struggle that I had with this song.
You know, in this album, you cannot predict what comes next.
Wow.
Because it's not like say you hear the first song, you know how the full album sounds. No, this album is different. You hear a little bit of Sabbath. There is so much different stuff, and Genesis, best example. This is a brilliant idea with the flute. You know, I like this. It's very, very, very cool. Because you think it's a ballad. It's not like a ballad. I think this goes like it. No, and then it's getting bigger and bigger. That was yeah. The voice fits so perfectly to this music. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Charismatic. What is it then? Is this the right word?
Yeah, that's a good word to describe a vocal to a song or a melody. Yeah. Something that draws you in. Attraction. Mm-hmm.
Gene Simmons' Charisma, right?
Yeah, he wrote a song called Charisma that was about what we're talking about. Yeah. Lyrically, I have to say this is kind of has some Darwinism to it. If I may quote the lyrics, I have risen from earth to what some call heaven. Now that metaphorically doesn't mean, you know, angels flying around in the clouds. So God-fearing clusters of souls fall past me as I rise. I take air for the first time, breathing, right? As I climb from the grime. Upon dry land, I grow upright. I pull myself. I take hold with all my might. I crawl, I walk, I run, I hunt, and I kill. So this is the Darwinism. You're basically a single cell organism growing legs and crawling up onto the earth and becoming a human being, a humanoid, a two-legged running, hunting. You're still an animal because you're hunting and killing to survive, right?
Mm-hmm. Royal blooded.
Ooh,
this is a cool song, but let's listen first and then you tell me a story and who wrote this song. Fantastic song. Royal Blooded. All right, Royal Blooded. Cool title, cool song. And I guess the music written by Dan. I'm right?
Richie, you should play the lottery. Yes, you are correct. I wrote the music to that song a really long time ago. And I put the whistle in there. And again, Jimmy Shulman, it goes usually from my wife to then Jimmy Shulman are the first two people to hear my musical ideas. And Jimmy Shulman said, take that whistle out of there. I hate the whistle. I hate the whistle. And Jason's like, I like the whistle. I'm like, cool. And my buddy, actually, Johnny Milnes from Mucky Pup, he heard, he's like, the whistle's great. And I'm like, are you being serious or facetious? And he said, no, it's great. I'm like, all right, cool. So that song was sitting, that's probably the oldest music on the album. And then I gave it to Ron Lipnicki, Jimmy Shulman, and Jason McMaster. And
yeah, so I heard the whistle, and it didn't bother me because I didn't have any lyrics, right? So I just pressed play for the first. Imagine me pressing play to listen to this track with no lyrics, no melody, nothing in mind at all. My first time hearing this, right? And I hear the whistle. I'm neither here nor there. I do not have an opinion on the whistle. The first sort of gut reaction, I felt like I may have wanted to say, wow, the whistle, that was weird. I didn't say, oh, I hate that, take it out, right as it came, because like I said, there was nothing pushing it or pulling it in a positive or negative way at all, because there's nothing happening. Now, indirectly, that whistle very well could have, and to be honest with you guys, both of you guys, this is the first time I'm realizing this, that whistle very well could have influenced me to write this song, the lyrics, Royal Blooded, by way of an army, like a marching, like, you know what I mean? Like the whistle, usually, okay, they don't blow whistles in the army, they just yell at you. But the whistle kind of connotates this sort of like, pay attention, you assholes, you know? And so this is kind of, I'm just discovering as we talk about this in depth, could have influenced me to write some of these words. Now, the idea of Royal Blooded, and I'm just going to go to the chorus, royal blooded uniform, they misbehave, to the top to see how high they can swing the blade. Now, this sounds like a contest. It sounds like, you know, the rich standing on the heads of and the backs of the poor, so they're taller and more important than the poor. Reminds me of, you know, they could be liars and beggars and thieves being stoned in the streets in front of the palace. But it could just be poor people trying to get a handout so they can buy some bread and feed their family.
So, ich bin wieder mal da. Es ist eine Live-Sendung. Also ich bin im Hintergrund natürlich live und das ist eine Aufzeichnung vom Samstag. Bloß, dass ihr es wisst, das sind nicht die Gäste, wo heute live da sind. Ich begrüße mir ganz lieb die Gisela und die Daniel. Ich schaue nämlich immer den Chat zu, was ihr da schreibt so. Ich hoffe, ihr seid alle gut nach Hause gekommen und ja, ich schaue mal, wer sonst noch da. Der Günther ist natürlich auch wieder da. Servus Günther. Und Rika Lachmann hat sich hier eingeloggt. Servus Rika. Ich habe gesehen, du hast die Sendung auf Facebook geteilt. Bitte nicht teilen die Sendung, weil die wird später gelöscht. Die ist ja gar nicht mehr da. Teilt diese Sendung hier von YouTube. Das ist so sehr, sehr cool. Bitte diese Sendung von YouTube teilen. Die bleibt natürlich erhalten. So, ihr da draußen weiterhin viel Spaß. Ich muss gleich mal vorwarnen. Das ist für den Heli. Lieber Heli, du kannst jetzt Zeit lassen beim nächsten Song, weil der dauert 8 Minuten, aber ist ein Masterpiece. Das ist ein geiler Song und zwar ist der Song Dread the Dawn. Jawohl, Dread the Dawn, der Titeltrack vom Album. Und das Album ist von MDD Records. Also ich werde immer wieder mal den Link reinhauen. Holt euch das Album, es ist ein Götteralbum. Es gibt von vorn, oben bis unten durch lauter, cooler, so Black Sabbath, also der Stil, sehr, sehr geil. Also, weiter geht's mit Dread the Dawn und viel Spaß noch weiterhin beim Interview. Very cool. For me, a surprise, because the album is actually heavy, mixed. Heavy, let's say, has a heaviness. And Tread the Dawn. So I was sure this is a fast number. Tread the Dawn is like very Sabbath vibe for me. The old Sabbath, of course.
Yes.
You agree?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's kind of sort of the borrowed idea or majorly influenced by a sludgy kind of a... Dan, you tell us about it.
Well, thank you, Richie, first of all. But I think Dread the Dawn, the opening riff, I wrote up there. The second riff, which I guess would be the chorus, I actually wrote way back in 1993 or 1994 when I was in nonfiction. And I thought it was just the heaviest riff, but I couldn't do anything with it. We tried so many times, my drummer, Mike Christie, and I just couldn't bring the song to life. But then I wrote the rest of the song upstairs. And usually because I was so influenced by Kiss, when I write music, I prefer songs that are 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes long tops. You know, there's been sometimes I'll write a longer song because people tell me, oh man, you got to write longer songs. But I never wrote a song this long. The riffs kept piling up and I kept thinking, hey, I could make 2 or 3 songs out of this, but I'm like, it just didn't feel right. It just felt like it should be one really long song. And so that's basically what happened. Obviously, like you said, Richie, you know, Sabbath influenced, of course, yes. And then I gave it to a young man who's 2 years younger than me named Jason McMaster.
Yeah. And for, thank you, Dan. Nice handoff. Now, these lyrics were not written by me. This is Jimmy Schulman. Jimmy Schulman, our bass player, wrote these lyrics. And I commend him because they are serious lyrics. And I love them very much, which is why I don't feel like I was insistent. I feel like I voted for Dread the Dawn be the title track of the record. And what influenced that on top of me just loving the lyrics was the cover art. When I saw the cover art, from my eyes, just like open my eyes and see the cover art, there's a couple of things that come to mind, but Dread the Dawn as a song title on the record really did fit in my mind, the artwork. And we can talk about that later, but or we can talk about it now. The artwork was done by Claudio Bergaman, who has done Judas Priest Firepower album cover. As well as he's doing a lot of work for some Kiss, some offshoot brand of some Kiss art. He's done some things for the band Classic 78. He's really all over the place. He's a master artist, and I love Claudio's work. He also did our first record, Cassius King Field Trip. He did that album cover as well. People can find ClaudioBergaman.net, I believe, online. Claudio Bergaman, just look him up. He's fantastic. Jimmy wrote the words. They're scary. These are scary. This could be vampirical. It could be about someone has an addiction, who's fighting the addiction, afraid of what will come when the sun rises, afraid of a new day, because you have to either fight or die to this affliction you might have, or it's metaphorically all over the place with that theme intact.
Amazing song. All right, we are half through, more than half through. Let's play the next song, Troubleshooter, and then you tell me the story and who wrote it, okay?
Okay.
Here's Troubleshooter.
You got it, I want it. My little trouble
another killer song. Troubleshooter, one of my favorite. And backstory. Let me know.
So that's a Judas Priest song from the Point of Entry album, which I think is a very underrated Judas Priest album.
I agree.
It's kind of a commercial album, but I feel like it was the mastering or something about it, the production. It's actually a heavier album when you go back and listen to it. And when you do slightly lower tuning, it becomes even heavier. So I was always a big fan of Point of Entry, and I feel like Judas Priest fans really probably didn't love it as much as I did. But I mean, it's not hell-bent for leather, but it's a phenomenal album with, like, to me, 9 perfect songs. So I was always a big fan of Troubleshooter. And, Jason, I don't know too many singers that I'm friends with who can sing a good, Judas Priest, Rob Halford. But, I had always wanted to cover that song. I play along with that album from beginning to end. I just love the whole album. So when I asked Jason if he liked that song, he said for sure.
You know what is my favorite from Point of Entry? Hardrock.
Yeah, little commercial for me. You know what? So there's a song when Hades was a cover band. We played that and Heading Out to the Highway so many times in so many bars that I never want to play it again. Mm-hmm. So I can't say it's one of my favorites just because I wore it out to death. It was like that was the hit single that maybe wasn't a hit single, but the song that all the bar bands were playing back in the early 80s.
Yeah. But I must say, I did a little bit not long ago. I played all the Judas album again because I did a Judas Priest special, and I talk about all the albums because I bought all. Wow. Screaming for Vengeance and Defender of the Faith. This was my long time my heroes. Then came Ram It Down, and for me, Ram It Down album should be more famous.
Really, I don't think I've ever listened to that album.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. I gave up on Kiss, for Unmasked, and I gave up on Judas Priest. Whatever album followed Point of Entry, I was done with them for quite a long time.
You missed the best one, I guess.
Say again?
I think you missed the best one.
Okay.
I think Screaming for Vengeance and Defender of the Faith, like Free Will Burning, that's a killer.
Yeah, you like
song.
That? Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Free Will Burning and Screaming for Vengeance are pre-Painkiller. They're that high energy, up tempo. Rob just doing what Rob is actually, unfortunately, known for. As the high pitched, that voice, when ultimately Rob has a beautiful singing voice, as well as has like 8 different voices he can use. Yeah. But when people think of Judas Priest, they just think of this high pitched scream, which has become synonymous with heavy metal, which leads me into a rant that I refrain. When people think of heavy metal, they think of, that high-pitched scream, and that's all heavy metal is just this high-pitched squeaky voice, which is completely wrong, as we all know, as metalheads. But I feel like, Scream for Vengeance, I love every song on Screaming, but Defenders of the Faith, there's a handful of songs I like. Ram It Down, I can't name you 3 songs off of it.
Heavy Metal, for example, is a very, very cool song.
What's it called?
I don't know
Heavy
that.
Metal. The song Heavy Metal.
I don't know that.
Or Ram It Down, the song.
Yeah, Ram It Down. I can kind of feel the chorus for Ram It Down. I can think of that one. I've heard that one.
Never heard any of that.
But you have a good hand for covers. We have one more cover in this show today. But first we have a song Bad Man Down. And I would say we listen first and then you tell me the story.
look around, there ain't no shelter. Stand up, all you're walking for helter skelter. Sooner or later, somebody coming for you. Your halo's up in flames. Now tell me what you're gonna do. Can't keep a bad man down. Can't stop the reaper. Can't stop the reaper from coming round and round. Your life is turning. Those wheels of madness roll down the line like the edge of a razor. Mr. Pimp, Mr. Lie, but for getting you by. Shiny shoes, black shoes, diamond boots for a necktie. Sooner or later, somebody coming for you. Your halo's up in flames. Tell me what you're gonna do. Can't keep a bad man down. Can't stop the reaper. Can't stop the reaper from coming Can't keep a bad man down. Can't keep a bad man down. Can't keep a bad man down.
Bad Man Down.
I love this song so much, and it was the first single off the album. We released Bad Man Down as a 45-inch vinyl single on Nomad Eel Records before we were discovered MDD Records in Germany. And thanks to both of those labels, by the way.
Yes.
But Bad Man Down, when I wrote it, the music is all I wrote. I was really happy with it. I thought it was almost like a little slightly up-tempo Black Sabbath song. And I got to say, when I heard what Jason did, I was like, this is just amazing. The tone of his voice in this song just blew me away. His melody lines blew me away. And Jason forced me to play some guitar solos. He said, hey, should we drag in Scott LePage to do guitar solos? I said, guitar solos? This song doesn't need any guitar solos. And I actually practiced, noodled around upstairs for an extra 20 minutes before I went. I said, let me try some guitar solos. And I'm really glad they're in there now. Normally, I'm not a big fan of more than, I don't really die for guitar solos. I don't feel like my songs need them, but I'm really happy Jason pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit to play some lead guitar to this. And now I will let Jason McMaster tell you about the lyrics.
I can't believe that you practiced 20 minutes. And that I had something to do with it.
I went overboard, man. Took away from my basketball time.
I'm a good influence on you. I got you to practice 20 minutes.
I really did. 20 minutes. I'm like, you know what? If I play lead for 20 minutes, I'm not that bad. You
can come up with something. If I practice 20 minutes, I might be able to come up with something. This song is the oldest, like Dan kind of alluded to. It's the oldest song. I have a date here. It says October of 2021. So this was, I think, the first song that we wrote for the second record, and was released actually, in my opinion, a little bit prematurely. I'm not mad about it or anything, but like months before we had enough songs to even make a record. Like he said, we put out a 7-inch and released it as a single not that long after Field Trip came out. Yeah. So it's very bluesy. You can't keep a bad man down, sooner or later somebody coming for you, could be the Grim Reaper, don't know, so sort of alluding to that as well. Your halo is up in flames. Now tell me what you're going to do. Can't keep a bad man down. Can't stop the Reaper. Can't stop the Reaper from coming around. Very rock and roll, but dark theme, right? And there's kind of a shuffle to this. It's kind of groovy, right? But very Sabbathy, very Sabbathy kind of a thing. I let that sort of come into play. I think about some of the shuffle, slimy grooves that Dio era Black Sabbath sort of come into. I feel like there's a lot of groovy things happening on Mob Rules. The album Mob Rules, there's more songs on Mob Rules that are slimy, kind of shuffly, boom, ba-da boom, da boo, right? And that was happening a little bit on this tune, whether we knew it or not. But I'm telling you, this is what was influencing me, steering my mind into the melodies and the feel of this vibe. So there you go. The idea here was to, it seems like, if there's a person you like, a girl, a boy, whatever, that you like, and you're the good guy or the good girl, whatever, and the person that you're interested in seems to, in the stories, seem to go with the bad, the criminal. They're attracted to the bad man, they cross over, and you've lost them to the bad side, the dark side. I feel like that's maybe where this was going. It's very blues. It's very blues, like, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, kind of a blues. It is a blues, kind of a blues song.
You just mentioned the name. Let's listen to a track now, and this brings us right to the beginning from the interview. We talk about Kiss, and the next song, it's a great cover written by Paul Stanley. And we listen first, and then let's talk about why you chose this song.
Push
I wouldn't recognize this as a Paul Stanley tune. This is done completely different, and I love it. It shows the melodic part of you guys.
Thank you. I'm glad
Why-
you love it, Richie.
Why you chose Wouldn't You Like to Know Me?
Well, so as we've mentioned repeatedly, we're all enormous Kiss fans, and I've recorded a lot of Kiss songs. Before we met Jason, I used to try and sing some Gene Simmons songs with, Ron on drums and Jimmy on bass or me on bass. And I was kind of running out of Kiss songs to cover. So I kept, or play along. My wife gets sick of me listening to Kiss Alive. Like the other night, I mentioned my wife too much. Sorry about that. But Gina said to me,
Okay.
Gina said, aren't you sick of playing along with Kiss Alive yet? I said, I'm not. So I threw in something different. And I was trying to figure out Paul Stanley's Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? And my wife's first comment, she's like, you actually like that song? I'm like, I love it. And she's like, it seems like nothing you would like. It seems so happy. And I'm like, and the song makes me happy. And it's not the typical Kiss Chuck Berry chords. It's definitely some unusual Kiss chords for Paul Stanley. And I know the Paul Stanley album sounds the most like Kiss. But some of the chords, there's one note in that song that is actually dissonant, unless I'm playing it wrong. But the way I figured it out, and I knew Jason was going to love it. I know Ron Lipnicki. Ron loves every Kiss song. Like he even likes Shandy, which again, that's one of those songs like Johnny Be Good. I'm like, I'm done. But I always loved Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? The song makes me happy. And we're only tuned down.
Super fun to sing.
I call it a feel-good song.
For sure. That's perfect.
Yeah.
The last song, and so far I love the interview a lot of. Now I understand this album much more, and I really enjoyed it to work on this album. And the last song is not from the new album; it's from the album before, and this also is a great album. So Field Trip is from 2021. So you did two albums in a row, one album, two in a row, 21 and 22. That's amazing. So you're full of energy. Yeah. And this is a great song called Cleopatra's Needle. Tell me about this song.
That was the first song I wrote during the coronavirus shutdown, the first song musically. And Richie, I'm sure all bands do this. They give their, like when I write a song and I hand it to my bands, I'm also in a band called Patriarchs in Black with Johnny Kelly. But I wrote this song and it was called My Corona, which is a stupid song title, but it just, you have to give song titles to differentiate. When I'm writing and recording 30 songs a year, particularly in the wintertime. But I wrote that song and I was thinking there's no spot for a guitar solo. People say I don't do enough guitar solos. So I'm going to do a guitar solo at the beginning of the song. And it's a little bit played off of something I would do if my drummer broke a cymbal or lost a stick when Nonfiction was playing. So it was, like you said, it was from the album Field Trip, which is out on Nomad Eel Records. There's a video for this song. And Jason sang it, and I love what you did, Jason. Tell me about what you did, my friend.
I had so much fun writing these lyrics and these melodies, and I don't know what else I could have done to this. It's kind of a double-edged sword, really, because when the groove and the tempo is it's not fast. It's kind of slow, moderately slow. It's not like mud slow, but it's definitely not up tempo. I think it changes tempo once.
It does, yeah.
So I'm singing a lot of words because I'm given the chance to sing a lot of words, but that is only because the melodies that I came with, I was actually da 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 da. So when you think about that melody and you think about all those da-das, that's a lot of syllables. So I'm using words that fit the syllables of the melody that I wrote, which is dangerous because you end up writing a lot of words that are going to be difficult to recall later on. I have written a song before for another band, my band Igniter, which is like a power metal band, we have a song called Shadow of the Needle. So Cleopatra's Needle is the second installment of this same theme. So if you go and read the lyrics to Shadow of the Needle, they really get into more depth and the more gory part of why the pharaoh or the king or whatever may have built these monuments to control, to make sure that his public is still aware of their beliefs. And if he's losing popularity and people start dying, they need to pay more attention to him. It's kind of a power trip about the dark side of this actual monument. So there's actually some historical truth to this song, and I've written about it before.
Amazing. Very,
you,
very
Ricky.
interesting.
Thank you
so much.
Ricky. Thank you, brother.
All
Have
the
a great-
best to the rest of the gang. And thanks to MDD Records, who set it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Sure.
Marcus and Kai,
Thank you so much for having us, Richie.
you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Stay healthy and bye, my friend.
See you tomorrow,
Bye-bye.
Jason. Bye.
Yep.
And
bye-bye.
here is Cleopatra's Needle. und willkommen zur Aftershow-Party. Ich hoffe, ihr habt Spaß gehabt mit Cassius King. Sehr coole Band. Und wie gesagt, hätte ich das ganze Interview so abgespielt, wie wir es aufgenommen haben, dann würde man wahrscheinlich noch bis um 12 da sitzen. Ja, war sehr lang, muss ich wirklich rausschneiden, den guten Jason, aber total sympathische und cooler Sound. Hat richtig Spaß gemacht mit den Jungs. Und ja, morgen haben wir einen ganz speziellen Gast. Morgen haben wir zum ersten Mal jetzt auch einen Namen gegeben. Danke, lieber Hannes Little, der hat uns diese Inspiration gegeben, nämlich Behind the Scenes. Das ist eine Serie, die wir, also statt normale Interviews mit Bands, haben wir jetzt auch mal Leute behind the scenes. Leute wie Fotografen, Producer und. Und morgen haben wir einen Fotografen und Journalisten, Manfred Tanner. Und ich spiele jetzt mal gleich den kurzen Trailer ein. Und die Fotos, wo ihr seht, sind alles Fotos von ihm. Slayer, King Diamond, Judas Priest, Kiss. Und wir reden über diese ganzen Stories. Der hat so viel erlebt schon. Und ja, ihr könnt also gespannt sein. Morgen um 20 Uhr. Seid dabei. Und hier ist mal ein kurzer Trailer für morgen Behind the Scenes mit Manfred Tanner. Jawohl, morgen um 20 Uhr, Manfred Tanner, Journalist und Fotograf und hat schon Tonnen von Bands fotografiert und auch viel erlebt. Bin gespannt, was uns morgen zu erzählen hat. So, und weiter geht's. Ich habe ein paar Sachen ausgesucht. Eigentlich sind jetzt viele Sachen, die hätte ich für morgen auch noch gehabt. Also darum lasse ich einfach mal weiterlaufen. Weil gestern war es recht cool mit Power Metal und die Band habe ich auch schon lange nicht mehr gespielt und daher gibt es heute ein paar Songs, die wir schon mal gespielt haben, aber einfach geile Songs. Und zwar die Band Motive Black. Motive Black und Fight Alone. Und wir sagen, let the madness begin in der Aftershow Party.
Taking it, fly, wasting it, my time, totally lost my mind.
Motive Black, Fight Alone. Sehr, sehr geil. Herr Kindorf, wäre doch mal was für uns, oder? Motive Black. Klingt gut, hat einen guten Groove und der Lorm ja gleich die Pommesgabel hochgeladen. Jawohl. Die nächste Band heißt Hydra. Hydra, The Eyes of Giants. Auch ein geiler Song und Attacke.
Fire
Sehr, sehr geil. Hydra, die Eyes of Giants. So, liebe Freunde, noch 2 haben wir, dann haben wir Feierabend. Ihr könnt ins Bett gehen und ihr könnt also eine schöne Nachtruhe genießen und mit einem geilen Sound natürlich. Und das nächste Band heißt Coma. Coma und My Venom Inside. Und wir sagen, let the madness begin. Wieder mal und Attacke. Die spielen einen Helle ins Koma. Die heißen Koma, nicht ohne Grund. Hammer, die haben einen Dampf dahinter. Leck mich am Arsch. Die wären doch auch was für uns, oder? Hab's überhaupt Bock auf Koma? Sollen wir die Jungs mal einladen? Die machen doch ein Krawall, oder? Sehr geil. So, liebe Freunde, ich habe gesehen, ein paar müssen sich auch schon verabschieden, da wir heute ein bisschen kürzer, müssen nicht immer genau 2 Stunden sein. Fast 2 Stunden haben wir wieder. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß am Montag und morgen dabei sein, ab 20 Uhr natürlich. Und die Woche wird wieder sehr, sehr cool. Jawohl, wir haben wieder Trash auch wieder dabei. Sehr, sehr, ja, ich freue mich, wird eine geile Woche wieder. Wir haben etliches zu bieten. Und natürlich am Freitag David Reedman. Das wird ja geil. Auf den freue ich mich richtig. der hat wirklich geile Songs. Muss ich schon sagen. Geile Projekte, geile Songs. Und auch Pink Room 69. Wäre cool. So, liebe Freunde, wir sagen, ich schmeiße euch jetzt alle raus. Oder ich schmeiße mich raus, nicht euch. Ihr könnt da bleiben, ihr könnt da weiterschreiben. Wenn ihr Lust und Laune habt, macht's weiter bis zum Exzess. Der Heli muss noch seinen Rollator putzen für morgen. Ja, der Porsche. Oder was hast du denn werden? Porsche oder was? Dann Lamborghini. Was ist denn das für einer, was du hast? Auf alle Fälle morgen bei Chakra gibt's Gas. Ganz liebe Grüße, ja, Mikl und Fronal, wie alles morgen bei Chakra ist. Ganz liebe Grüße von dem kompletten METALHEADS FOREVER Camp. Und hoffentlich nimmt er das Geschenk an. Das ist jetzt die große Frage morgen. Aber der Mikl wird mir gleich Bescheid geben, wenn es geht in der Nacht noch. Okay, also, heißt es, Mikl, dass du morgen heute dabei bist? Du musst dich einloggen, wenn du dabei warst. Du kannst ja 5 oder 10 und einmal bist du dabei gewesen. Das geht ja nicht. Also, wenn es geht, log dich ein, dass du zumindest noch mal kurz da bist. Okay? Ich würde sagen, ich schmeiße euch jetzt raus mit Anthrax. Jawohl, mit Skeleton in the Closet. Live. Und mit diesem Song sage ich gute Nacht. Werd's gesund. Alle, die jetzt gerade krank sind, werd's wieder gesund. Und ja, alle, die gesund sind, werd's ja nicht krank. Sonst haben wir da wieder ein paar zu bedauern da. Also, Metalheads, danke fürs Zuschauen. Danke an unsere neuen, unsere neuen Mitglieder. Und ganz lieben Gruß an Peter Krause für den Upgrading zum Ace of Spades. Thank you, brother. Euer Zeug ist schon bestellt und auch schon mit dem Ben besprochen. Ist schon in Produktion. Also ihr könnt euch hoffentlich bald auf die neuen Merchandise freuen. Und ihr draußen geht Shopping. Holt euch Kondome. Na, Kondome haben wir nicht. Aber Unterhosen haben wir. Für den Heli extra lange Unterhosen. Die Schieße Feinripp mit hinten offen und vorne auch offen. Da geht es schneller, hinten und vorne. Also Heli, greift zu. Es gäbe auch Leggings und Wonderbras. Gibt es auch. Okay? Für die, wo schon ein paar Titten haben, wie ich so, da ist der Wonderbra super. Also, Freunde, auf geht's mit Gebrüll. Hier sind Anthrax. Euch alle eine gute Nacht und bleibt geil und bis morgen um 20 Uhr. Und hier Anthrax, Skeleton in the Closet. Gute Nacht.
Anybody got any skeletons in their closet?
And you are a fan now. You're a fan. And as a fan, you will never ever forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.
Hit that bell.
Way
Goddamn.
down below.